Obama, the bystander again. Here are the Egyptians in the millions out on the street trying to bring down an Islamist government, increasingly dictatorial, increasingly intolerant, arresting journalists and judges, trying to Islamicize the military, and the people are saying no. And what does the President of the United States do? He takes a position of studied neutrality. He says he's not supporting either side. And yet, as you pointed out in the Mubarak revolution, he obviously he took the side of the people. He demanded that Mubarak had to go. He was not neutral.
All right, folks, that's Charles Krauthammer on the Fox News Channel last night. Welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. What we're seeing in Egypt is unbelievable. If you look at those pictures, I mean, it looks like, if you've seen the pictures over the course of the few days, if you're watching at Newsmax.com right now, you saw that from last night. It looks like, you know, 1 million people. And they're talking about millions and millions of people, 20 million plus, signing petitions to get Morsi, the president, out. Joining us now to talk about all of this is Mike Ghouse. He's president of the Foundation for Pluralism. And I teased a little bit before, Mike. I said when you come on, we're going to say words that are only plural.
I love that. We need to propagate that idea, Steve.
There you go. Well, just cut me in 5%. We'll be okay. Anyway, welcome to the show. Good to talk to you. So, you know, I want to give an update on the Obama administration. There are reports, and maybe it's been, you know, I've been watching the trial all day when I haven't been on the air, so I haven't seen the White House press conference. But there were reports that the Obama administration is appearing to be urging Morsi and his government to schedule early elections, which is one of the demands of those in opposition to his government. What do you know about that?
I did not look at that. I'm preparing for a keynote speech tomorrow night, and I was preparing, and I did not look into details.
Well, I'll take 5% of that too. But go ahead.
But that is the right thing to do. That's, in fact, on Hannity's show last night, I was advocating the very same idea. Instead of, I mean, they were democratically elected, although people really did not want the brotherhood out there. And Morsi is showing his true colors of being a fascist, being a Hitler-like, shoving his ideals down people's throats, which they were unwillingly taken. But I believe the people are going to revolt and take back the governance back in their hands, and they're doing it. And the military really does not want to take this thing. And there is an example in Pakistan. For the first time in the history of 60 years, the military remained on the sideline while the elections went on. And apparently Egypt is following the same idea, and I'm glad they are doing it. And I think Obama's call, I admire it. Let there be elections and stuff. Let the public redecide who they really want when there are 19 million signatures to step this guy down. And I think if they keep up the same level, there will be another government other than Morsi and Brotherhood, or the Brotherhood need to mend their ways, their extremism. I mean, some of the things they have said about Israel is not kosher, and they wanted to shove the Sharia laws. There's nothing wrong with the Sharia laws, but the kind of Sharia law they're advocating is wrong. And the supreme authority, the guy who can give his final word, is a religious man, and that is not acceptable. So people were against it. I'm glad the people are fighting for it. I know there's going to be chaos, there's going to be difficulty, but the freedom is worth fighting for.
All right. Well,
I'm glad they're doing it.
Well, Mike, what do you think is going to happen? Because we're in the midst, with the clock ticking, of what 24 hours ago was, I guess, a 48-hour ultimatum from the military for Morsi to acquiesce to some of the demands of the protesters. I've heard Morsi's people say no. I've read where Morsi's people are preparing a Muslim Brotherhood defense force. So where are we headed within the next 24 hours, do you believe?
It is very difficult, very painful. But what Obama has suggested is the right thing. I think Morsi needs to step down and announce the election and let the public decide what they want. I think if Morsi is preparing his defense forces, he is proving himself to be an evil man. We don't need a guy like that. We don't need to support him. Somebody who wants to crush the public protests. public has a right to protest, and that is a symbol of democracy. And I'm glad Obama has taken finally at least one right step in that nation.
Well, it's funny you say that. Let's go to cut 18. This is also Charles Krauthammer yesterday talking about basically what, in my view, Obama spearheaded to get us here in the first place. Here's cut 18.
But there's also the idea of the national interest. Mubarak was pro-American. He was an ally of ours. He helped us in all kinds of ways, and Obama worked against him. Morsi represents a movement which is essentially and at heart deeply anti-American and deeply anti-democratic, and yet he's neutral on this. This is a shocking position for a president to take.
Okay, now let's go back in time if we could. How much blame do you lay at the footstep or doorstep, I guess, not the footstep, of Barack Obama?
Oh, let me make a disclosure first. I am a Republican. I need to make that clear. And then I'm acknowledging Obama made the first correct foreign policy decision, and I disagree with Charles Krauthammer. Look at two quick situations. In Iran, when the revolution took place, we supported a guy who was tyrant, who was killing the people, and when they got the freedom, they hated us because they hated their ruler who he supported. And Obama reversed that damn thing, and he supported the public, which is the right thing to do. Relationship between the United States and Egypt is between two people and people, not dictators who come and go. And Obama did the right thing, and right after that, Steve, we do not have public extreme demonstrations, anti-American demonstrations in Egypt, because it was the right foreign policy of Obama supporting the people. And now he's again supporting the people in a way that he's calling for elections. Let people decide who runs the country. And I agree with one point of Krauthammer, that guy, Morsi, was not the right guy. But since there was chaos in the nation, there was nothing organized in the society, whoever came forward with some plan, people went along with it. If someone else had a better plan, people would have gone with the other person. Now, as a foreign policy, we may want to consider training a few people in Egypt, not to dictate our terms, not to influence them, at least get them some ideas how the democracy works, and hopefully they will find the right leader, but not the Morsi guy. But if Morsi can mend his way and truly show that he is not an extremist, not a fascist guy, then we should support him if the people elect him.
All right, we're talking to Mike Ghouse, president of the Foundation for Pluralism, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. See, my problem was at that very time, I don't think that you could gauge by just because there were a bunch of people in Tahrir Square. I don't think that meant that the country was in favor of overthrowing Hosni Mubarak. And I think the people now regret it. And I think that Barack Obama had an interest in putting the Muslim Brotherhood in power. I think Barack Obama wants to keep the Muslim Brotherhood in power. And I think we saw that with what he did in Libya. And he would do it in any Middle Eastern country that he gets an opportunity. I believe that's who he wants to be in power.
I'm not sure, Steve, that is a legitimate statement that Barack Obama wants the Brotherhood. I think he wants a governance of the people by the people. That I agree with. But choosing Brotherhood is not his way. If Brotherhood is the only option, he said, reluctantly he may have agreed for that. But I don't think he's not the kind of guy who wants to put a Brotherhood in his place. He knows what those guys are made of.
All right, so just to summarize, I'm going to let you go prepare for your keynote, which you could send me 5% of if you'd like, especially if you use the especially if you come out and you start talking in plural, then I get 5%. But that aside, so I mean, we have a very dangerous situation here. I mean, do you fear violence? Do you fear deaths? Do you fear what do you fear with the military? And by the way, you might want to address this too. The United States has a huge influence with the Egyptian military, because without the United States, there really is no hardware, there really is no money, there are no sophisticated tanks and weaponry. So we have a huge influence on the Egyptian military. So what do you think will happen between now and the next few hours?
There is going to be violence, there is going to be death, I'm afraid. It's a shameful thing. but that is the price people pay for freedom. We paid our price in 1776. Many of us were killed. We paid our price in the Civil War again. And Egyptian people, unfortunately, have to pay that price to get the real freedom at the end.
All right, listen.
By the way, Charles Krathmers, again, he made a very valid statement. Sean Hannity keeps saying, why do we support Egypt financially? Krathmer had a very good saying. He said, it is a protection money. It is to protect them from attacking Israel. And I think that people should really understand Krathmer is right in that instance.
All right. Listen, Mike, I appreciate talking to you. We'll speak again, sir. Thank you.